You are doing it great. Where it's not full screen yet, but I'm sure it's getting there. Let's see. From beginning, there you go. Look at those mad PowerPoint skills. Boom. Good job.
Nailed it. Fired up regional agency director Jim Rustman with agency owners Alex Jackson, Karen Reed, and team leaders Kyle and Michelle will be joining us here shortly. Make sure that you got your pencils sharpened and your papers ready to rock and roll. B-dubs, let's roll through some leaderboards with our top 10 new writers in APV. Number 3, David Smith, 5,116. Number 2, Jeremiah Norton. And number 1, welcome James Anderson with just right at $5,500. Congratulations to our new writers. Top 10 producers in total APV. There you go. There goes old Stephen Burnett just talking about him. Number 3, Lola Onafade. Number 2, Matthew Hernandez. And number 1, B. Wes Raines with $56,000 in production in a single week.
It's great.
Come on, B. Wes. Top 10 producers in app count. We've got a couple folks there tied for third with Sean Pierce and Christopher Ripple. Number 2, Leroy DeFoy, tied with James Hickman. And number 1, there he is again, B. Wes Raines with 19 applications in a single week. Well done. Top Medicare supplement producers, Nicholas Maselli with 1. We have the top 5 disability income producers with number 4, Barbara Mahan. Number 3, Jacob Dar. Number 2, Miss Tracy Young. Good to see you out there, Tracy. And number 1, Heather Romero with about 1,150. Top 5 IUL producers. Can't say this enough, guys. Right now is prime season on IUL producers. Take a look at what is happening to people's 401ks. Let's make sure that we're reaching everybody with our advanced markets opportunities as well. Number 3, Randall Brown. Number 2 is Lola again. Number 1, Joshua McQuillan.
He's just quilling.
Just quilling it is what he's doing.
Quilling it.
Top 5 annuity producers. Number 3, Justin Boydston. Number 2, Ashley Todd. And number 1, Ki-Ai Hope with $450,000 in face amount on those annuities. Congratulations. Well done.
Great work.
Top 5 debt-free life producers. Mike Resma is out traveling today as we speak, B-dubs. Going to meet with individual companies that are extremely interested in what's going on in not only our annuities and IUL business, also the debt-free life.
Yeah.
And guys, the programs, the proprietary products that we're developing here are truly shaking up an entire industry. And much gratitude to all of those out there in the field. So Michelle Fish, number 3. Number 2, Norma C. Jordan Bach. And number 1, Joel Edison with 20,446. New writers, B-dubs. Talk to them about it.
Talk to me about the new writers. Look at that. Paige Jensen and Mr. Brennan's tied for 4. Jamie coming in with 8. That's like Katniss Everdeen from the Hunger Games. Girl on fire. Carl Miller at 7. John Ziller. Oh, I like the little Miller, Ziller, Pogue at the top with 15. Outstanding week.
Come on, Marshall Whalen. Why don't you work with your team, buddy? I don't know what it is, man.
That's right. That's right. He's struggling over there. And the SNAs, seasoned new agents, 19 agency owners tied for 1 SNA. Elazar Santos, good to see you there with 2 SNAs, and Katniss Everdeen with 3, Miss Susie. 9 directs tied at 1, 3 directs tied at 2. Then we got Mr. Colburn, Melissa Weigel, and Jacob Pogue once again for the SNAs. Talk to us, Todd. I know you like to define those SNAs. So what's an SNA before I bust through these names?
Man, so seasoned new agent. That means you have started with Symmetry. You've got 6 applications in 6 weeks or less under your belt, which signals to us through the data analytics just how much more likely you are to have a very successful career and booming agency within a 12-month time frame. So congratulations to our seasoned new agents. You got on it early and stayed on it, as Danny would say.
I love that. Yeah, get on it and stay on it. All right, so I'm going to do an innovation, Spivey. I'm going to say the last name of the SNA, and you're going to go. We're going to honor the leaders today. I'm not saying we're going to do this every week, but we're talking about leadership. So you go for the parentheses. We're going to do it quick too. Ready? Papadopoulos,
Miller,
Maya,
Osterhoff,
Moron. Oh, wait,
Elliott,
Moran. Sorry, I apologize.
Ventron.
Thank you. Valdez, yes. You got ahead of me. Valdez, Centron, Lewis,
Susie,
Williams,
Rustman,
Kahn,
Santos,
Connor,
Greer,
Taylor,
Reineke,
Haney,
Dr. Forehand.
Yancey.
Come on, Martin.
This is probably bad. Yeah. Sykes, Ray. Excuse me.
Jensen,
Tutu,
Susie,
Segway,
Hurley,
David,
Leaper,
Borton,
Colburn,
Phillips,
Susie,
Borja,
Leak,
Jones,
Clayton Jr.,
Greenfield,
Andre,
Pine,
Santos,
Smoke,
Glick,
Burmeister,
Weagle,
Owens,
Oval,
and Rand.
and Reed.
All right. Well,
I
sometimes
like it, B-Dubs, but you know
well-
it takes everything in my body not to edify those leaders in the parentheses and want to say something nice
I
about
know.
it. So I feel like I deserve an award.
I'm not saying it's going to stick, but it was worth a shot. So thank you for all your understanding as we went through that. But all good.
Well done to our SNA. So glad to see everybody that's winning here early and winning often. So B-Dubs, I'll knock out the first two, then I'll pass to you for two for our weekly
great.
leaderboards in the key leader category. We got number 3, Mark Musafir. Number 2, Shannon Turner. Number 1, there's my buddy Aaron Avedog. Good job, buddy. Number 3, on the recruit side, we've got Mr. Trent Dobrock. Number 2, there she is again, Shannon Turner. And number 1, Amy Anderson with 4. Looking at new riders, we've got Sue Hinojos with 3, Amy Anderson with 3, and Aaron again with 3. Congratulations to our key leaders. Onto the agency owner category in APV. Number 3, Alec Myers. Number 2, Rob Hurley. Number 1, Daniel Barnes with 43,000. For recruits, Gabby and Fred tied with John Paul Vetter. Also over there with Nino Glick and Ashton DeLonga Lundey. Nailed it, didn't I, B-Dubs?
Good job.
Let me put you on the spot. Let me have you say Mr. Ashton's last name.
Delango Lunde.
I knew you'd nail it. Yeah. Show me up. DJ Debt Free came in first place, though, with 11 total recruits. Way to go, DJ. Top new riders, we've got Christopher Ripple with 2, with Chris Lee. Also with 2, Michelle Brock 3, Nino Glick 3, and David Whiteman, also known as the coolest hat game in the land. Congratulations to Mr. David.
Outstanding. How about agency directors? Sean Kim, good to see you there. Sarah Reineke, Dave Alvarado. Killer call last week for Mr. Alvarado and Manzano, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Got Larry and Ann Griffin, Ryan Federico, and the Gambas, Michael and Laureen coming in with 21 recruits. And then Bridget Felix, tied with Paige Jensen. Don't want to miss that one. Jamie Susie and Sarah Reineke with new riders. For the Rads, we've got Josh Hershey, Trey Alderson Cloutier, and Eileen Balmer. For recruits, we've got Mike and Christine Reif, Beth Maddox, Frank Brennes from the front. And we've got Josh Hershey, Frank Brennes, and Dave Lappin for new riders.
Done. Rads. Moving into managing vice presidents. We got number 3, Chris Cook. 80. That is not Chris Cook.
Yeah.
That is Christopher Clark.
Chris Cook's to left to our left here. Yeah, all good.
Let me tell you what. Chris Cook there in second place, 98,500. His picture is being shown, but actually Griff Martin is the one that's in second place. So our fault there on the leaderboards, guys. We'll get that corrected. Mr. John Ziller.
That is him. That is him.
That is John Ziller. You make no mistake. That is fair.
Although that's the only time you'll see him in a suit. I think he probably got dressed up for picture day, but yeah.
Absolutely. Looking at total recruits, Brad and Kira Gainey with 13, Griff Martin with 28, Chris Cook with 29, and on to the new riders. We've got Jordan Hunt with 5, Christopher Clark, there we go, with 5, and Mr. John Ziller. In case you haven't seen on social media, John Zeller did manage to enlighten me yesterday about what happens when you smash two M&Ms or two Skittles together between your fingers and create kind of a battle royal to see which M&M or Skittle can last the longest. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, trust me, I don't either.
Yeah,
it's fun enough. Senior Vice Presidents, number 3, Tony Capistrano. Number 2, the Spill Dinner Financial Group. Well done. And Nate Alford coming in first place for APV. For recruits, we've got Mike and Sarah Pappas with 14, time with Tony Capistrano. Nate Alford with second place with 15 and tied with Mike and Jennifer Colburn. Well done. New writers, we've got Mike and Jen Colburn with 5, George and Janet Matthews with 5, and Mike and Sarah Pappas with 6.
Boom. How about the EVPs? Mr. Sean Shannon, Darren Stubbs, Scott Menk. Sean Shannon, Darren Stubbs, Scott Menk. Let me guess. Menk and Darren Stubbs. I was on the flow there for those. Good week for those EVPs. Associate partners, Ashley and Tyler Harris, 413. Ryan and Michelle Miller, 423. And Lynn Watkins at 585. Colin, Lisa, Ashley and Tyler and Lynn on the top recruits for the week. And rounding it out with Ashley and Tyler, Carl Miller, and Ryan and Michelle with 20 new writers for the week. Great week.
Oh, that's done, Ryan and Michelle.
I'll keep going. We got Pogue, Danny Young, Edward Pritchett, top of the million mark. There's Danny Young, Jacob Pogue, and Edward Pritchett with the triple-digit recruits. Boom. That's a lot. Danny Young, Jacob Pogue, Edward Pritchett. Now, I mean, I'm like, is that a record? Probably.
I was about to say, somebody in the chat let us know. We'll research it afterwards, but that's got to be an all-time record.
That's a triple-digit week.
100 recruits in the week. Well done, Eddie.
We won't mention where he was enjoying my homeland for 3 weeks or whatever it was.
What a business, right?
What a business.
You're on a private yacht,
floating
around off the coast of Italy.
Yep.
With some of your top business leaders and best friends. And while you're gone, you break a 12-year record for the most amount of potential new recruits in a week.
Yeah, that's amazing.
What a time to be alive.
Yes.
Managing partners, number 3, Brian Delaney. Number 2, hey now, Kevin Purdy. And number 1, Marshall Whalen, eclipsing the $1 million mark. Brian Delaney with 24 recruits, Kevin Purdy with 37, Marshall Whalen with 110, and new writers, Kevin Purdy 10, Brian Delaney 12, Marshall Whalen with 45. On to the directs, third place David Alvarado, Edward Pritchett with 167, Jacob Pogue 282. Recruits, Chris Cook, Edward Pritchett, Jacob Pogue with 46. New writers, Carl Miller, John Ziller. That is not John Ziller either. But I will say Scott Menk does have a fabulous head of hair himself, so
yes.
I can understand the mistake. Jacob Pogue with 15. B-Dubs, Bass Shops.
Let's drop the Bass Shop dubstep here, the beat drop for the Bass Shop. Jamie Susie, that was weird. Jamie Susie, David Alvarado, and Nate Alford coming in on the top Bass Shop. That's a gentleman soaring right now. This soaring as well. Jamie Susie, Edward Pritchett, Mark Newbauer. And Nate Alford tied at 8 recruits. I got to throw Alvarado in there, kind of third place. And then Paige Jensen, Frank Brenes, and Jamie Susie for new writers. Great on the Bass Shop week. Bonuses. Do I get to do my top and bottom thing real quick? Like look at Marshall and look at Larry Nan. Like that's still an amazing bonus, right? 53-26 on the equity. What's the next one?
And this is so incredible, guys. Just think about this. This is bonuses. If you're new to us, these individuals have built remarkable organizations, and this is what their bonuses are on top of the overrides, the Bass Shops that they run, the personal business that they might have done on their own pen as well, guys. We're talking about the opportunity here to create a monthly bonus that absolutely can change the course of your family for many generations. It's truly a remarkable opportunity. Congratulations to Marshall Whalen and Edward Pritchett there at the top, followed closely by Lynn Watkins and Mr. Delaney, 3rd and 4th. Great job, guys. Party right on their heels. Capital bonus, there you go. Opportunity to come in to create extra income and reinvest back into your business. Headed up there by Mr. Ben Sapifor, Jose Martinez, better known as Joe around here, and Sean Kim. And looking at the top producer bonuses, Ruth Slingo, Misty Cintron, and Steve Barnett up there at the top of the list. Make sure you're getting a good screenshot, you're sharing, you're understanding just what the opportunity is, guys, to make significant income, and a lot of that can be passive if you set up your organization the proper way.
And I'm still just saying those bottom ones aren't a bad month, right? There's always ways to there are always ways to reinvest different amounts of capital in our business, and like it's all just an amazing thing to see these kind of numbers, that the vision of the founders and what it is that we share in terms of the bonuses are unbelievable, best in class, and just incredible to see over $1 million paid out in September, and just super grateful get to celebrate with y'all.
Let's blow this up on social media, guys. What a tremendous opportunity the company allows. Over $1 million in bonuses in September. Absolutely phenomenal. Almost $10 million over the course of the year. These bonuses continue to grow and continue to create shockwaves across the industry. So looking into leaderboards for the champions and directs division, guys, so many opportunities here. Drive to the Super Bowl, a chance to go to the Super Bowl, the founders, a chance to go on a once in a lifetime vacation to a destination with some of the top leaders, B-dubs, the association you get on those trips. So good.
Amazing.
James Satterfield in third place. We got John Perez in second, with Misty Cintron in first in the champions division. Scott Mank in the directs division. Edward Pritchett in second. Jacob Pogue right now in the lead for first. On to the face shop division. We've got Jamie Susie moving up, Jeremy Whitaker, Carlton Lear, and James Satterfield right now sitting atop the face shop. And top agency owner, Omar Diaz, DJ Debt Free Keith Fonseca, and number one, Misty Cintron. So we've got some great competition going there. And part of the show, we go and see if Mr. Ethan Drum is with us.
Whose quality? My quality.
Whose quality?
My quality. Life to the fullest for less, man. I love that phrase. Such a great way to talk about what's available on my quality. And
we're not going to say that he's wearing probably the dopest hat I've ever seen on a conference call.
Is he again?
Well, I have to actually bring up that's a leadership moment. After years of being a Tar Heel fan, I am remaining a Tar Heel fan for the ACC, but I would like to make my announcement on this call that I have elected to become an Alabama fan for the
Let's
SEC.
go!
Well,
there was an illegal bribe that has been reported by Chris Cook to go to the Tennessee Vols. However, I have decided to go with the Alabama Crimson Tide for football season in the SEC. I will remain a Tar Heel fan. So,
wow.
Love it, Ethan. Love it, buddy. Talk to us about these leaderboards and what you got.
All right. So leaderboards: top direct, Ashley Tarr, Brad Smith, Edward Pritchett. Top AO, Ashton DeLonglade, LaShawn Toyer, and Nikki Basham. And top agents are Lola, say it, Anafe. I got it. Tyler Harris, Antel Morales. So, couple of announcements. One, this contest has been tight, but we actually are. Chris Cook's texted me telling me I'm a sellout, so I'm gonna get coverage and go undercover for a little while. But couple cool announcements. One, the contest is being extended to December, the end of December. Why? Because next week at AO Academy, our AOs are going to find out some things. You're going to find out some things that we've done to not only make MyQuality integrated with Switchboard right into your scripting process. We're going to be providing leaderboards. The AO credit card applications go live next week. And we're providing more and more ways to easily share MyQuality throughout your sales process on social media with training calls and upcoming summit activation. So with all these great tools and meeting with Brandon himself has had a blast just sharing MyQuality with his personal family. He's like, let's make a couple of these things easier and let's give people more time now that they've had some time to get through the overwhelmingness of conference and getting their seat back in. So that's what we're doing. And again, that's a $5,000 vacation. I want to commend our agents for your social media activations. Several of you, when I say several, hundreds of you took Tyler Harris seriously, and it is making huge positive effects across our organization. Not just MyQuility, but huge effects on how the algorithm and how much exposure we're getting. And which that means, what does that mean? Those people that you enroll in MyQuility, we're able to then try to get them to come back to talk to you about insurance, because they're seeing the ads we're serving them. They're seeing your social media posts. So by being a partner with us, you're actually helping us all as a team work together. So Spivey, big things coming next week. AOs who are coming to AO Academy, we're going to have a blast. Got a lot of fun things rolling out, and super grateful for you guys.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you, Ethan, and everything that you're doing behind the scenes. Can't wait to see you guys next week at the Agency Owner Academy. And I know we're trying to dial in and get time on their calendar, guys, and start having more of our Thursday training calls include MyQuility a little bit more often, so that we can make sure that we're sharing best practices with you all. And as I will continue to preach, everyone, the way that we truly accelerate the growth of MyQuility and all the awesome things that it can do for your businesses is take the personal challenge to make sure that you yourself are learning how to use the platform and implementing it in your daily walk. And it will become so much easier as you talk to others, share with others, and adopt it throughout your entire agency. So appreciate you, Ethan, and don't you worry about Chris Cook. You only hear from him about once every 16 years.
Yeah, I don't know. This jumping ship pseudo fan stuff is not cutting it for me, but well, it's okay. I know what will cut it for me is when Michigan absolutely destroys Michigan State this weekend. That'll be cool. All right.
Well done. I hope Michigan can beat an unranked team. That'd be great.
Exactly. Well,
let's register now for those Storybook of Wishes. Such an opportunity to give one of the coolest events that Symmetry and Quility is involved in throughout the year, guys. Start time is November 16th at 2 p.m. Eastern. Make sure that you're tuned in. Please go to the website. Please make sure that you're prepared. Please make sure that you're sharing this with your teams. It is such a wonderful event to bring together unity and culture throughout your organization. Make sure that you're getting your entire teams on to watch and participate. We've seen upwards of over $200,000 raised in less than an hour and a half time to go to a really, really good cause. And we want to make sure that nobody has this not marked on their calendar. So
that's right.
Beat us.
Yeah, I love this. How about the joy and journey of knowing who you are? So Meredith and Latanya, that's going to be amazing. And again, back to like fundamental leadership development principles. It really is about understanding your identity, who you really are. And I'm excited to see how that plays out and learn from Latanya and Meredith on this one. This should be a great connect session. So feel free to pop on that.
Starting November 3rd, 2022, make sure you have this marked down, FIF Resets 101. Please join us as we go over this on Thursdays at 3 p.m. Eastern. Again, November 3rd, Thursdays, 3 p.m. Eastern will be our FIF Resets 101. Guys, this is an opportunity. The program behind the scenes is doing substantial things, not only to the organization's APV, for the agencies themselves that have taken the time to implement the FIF reset. Shout out to all of the agencies out there that have been helping us pilot and really get this information dialed in and come into life. Such a tremendous opportunity for twofold, guys. One, to create extensive, massive, passive income into your organization and to the agents that are out and conducting these FIF resets in the proper way. But secondly, to make sure that we're truly doing our very best to make sure each client is protected. So make sure you're tuning in and getting this marked on your calendar. You need more leads? Anybody out there need more leads? You can increase your lead flow by adding the following states to your lead orders today. Razor Ridge lead opportunities to be added in California, Arizona, Texas, and Florida. Call-in leads, be sure and check it out in Minnesota and Connecticut.
Love it. So get them lead orders in. Yeah, the digital leads team, and gosh, I know Razor Ridge folks and all that has just been working super hard, dialing stuff in, getting great, opportunities for everybody. So it's been fun to just listen on that front and see the fruit of that coming out here with these opportunities. Love it. How about some carrier webinars? Thursday, October 27th, F&G National Account Manager Josh Pancoast on F&G's flagship product, the Path Setter. Does not strike you with intrigue. So show up to that if it resonates. And then FIF Reset and Advanced Market Training at 11 a.m. with Director of Advanced Markets, Mr. Jeff Sigworth and Nate Burks. Let's go. 2 minutes over the 30-minute mark, so not horrible, but again, it's good. Good run through the front half of the call. Now we get to tee up Mr. Rustman and crew.
Absolutely.
Oh, look at him with the I grew up and got a studio look over there. That's the
sharp, Jim.
That's the future of like all of us with getting that studio mic and getting our setup so that it's all professionalized. Some of us are aspiring folks, but looking good there.
Yeah, it only sounds better.
Yeah.
Instead of the computer, you just look online and social media, especially on our Symmetry agents, everybody has it. So
yeah, nice.
Looking
good over there, Jim. And I'm fired up, buddy. I know we've got to spend a lot of time together. I know B-Dubs as well. And just seeing your heart and your passion and your drive for your people, the way that you show up, the way that you stay committed to doing the right thing, even when it might not be the most comfortable or the thing that's going to be the most profitable for you right in the moment, but you continue to show up and do the right thing. And you truly have a care and a passion for this company that that's going to help drive us to high levels of success. And your ability to contribute to that, buddy, is certainly duly noted. And we just want to say, we appreciate you certainly for jumping on the call today. B-Dubs, I know you do as well.
We do. Yeah. I was thinking about, as you were sharing that, I think you nailed it, Spivey. You're so good at that. Just kind of calling up people's superpowers. But Jim, I know when I was coaching you, I was thinking about this back in the day. And I love that, you'd bring, some challenging issues and always be willing to say, handle those in such a way that was, in honoring our core values. We do the right thing when no one's looking, and having open, honest, productive communications, and really wanting to, again, learn the leading leaders piece, learn how do you continue to drive results in a way that, not only protects values, but just is efficient and effective. I think about that efficiency that you bring, to your team as well. And so, yeah, really excited for what you have in store today to talk to us about anytime you get the why behind things, right? Like why does leading from the front create massive growth, right? Really important. So yeah, talk to us, man. We're looking forward to hearing what you and the team have to say.
Awesome. I really, first off, I want to say, the gratitude is, for my whole team here is, we're thankful for, Brandon, Casey, and Brian, for having us be on the call, but not only just making this company happen. It's a gratitude because I'd probably be in a different place. A lot of us, the 1,400 people on this call would be on a different place, that we're not right now. And, it is tremendous, for the growth and, not only that, but the leadership, the coaching, everything that I've personally gone through here in my 5.5 years here. So I'm thankful for that. But
grateful for you, and don't let me forget, Jim.
I know.
Grateful for the fact that you jump in and you lead this wonderful national call with a new baby.
Yeah.
Congrats.
How's that going?
Yeah, it's great.
Any sleep?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's actually pretty good. I got a 10-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 15-month-old, and now a 3-week-old. So, still chugging along. I wake up at 3:30 in the morning, go to the gym, and still do it. So
nice. Congratulations, buddy.
Yep. Awesome, guys. Appreciate your time. First off, Jim Rustman, direct to Melissa Weigel, Kishawn Monteith, and the wonderful Linwood Watkins. grateful again to be on this call and kind of share with you guys a little bit of a journey of, leading from the front, how massive growth really happens. I started in this business April of 2017. And, one of those things is my prior career in law enforcement of 15 years was, always me, and really just it was difficult. And I was at that point in my career or my life where I didn't know what I was going to do, because I had a 10-year-old and I had, or back in she was like 3 at the time or 4 at the time. And I was in that place of just like, I didn't like what I was doing. And I was so unhappy and just really, really wanted to push, finding a different home. And lucky enough, like probably 95% of us found a home through, ZipRecruiter or Indeed or whatever it is. And I found a place, and great, but I sucked in the beginning. I was terrible. I wasn't good at this. I was just awful and was never on any conference calls, was never associating with the right people, was never doing the things that mattered. Until my mentor, Melissa Weigel, stepped in and she said, "Hey, Jim, you if you're going to get on this and you're going to be part of Symmetry, you need to be on these calls and you need to develop as a leader." And I said, "Well, okay, I'm going to do that," because I was similar to Casey. I went into, I think it was like 22 homes, didn't sell anything, and didn't know why. Well, that's the reason why. And I realized that point in my career here at Symmetry is that I needed this more than I needed anything else, because if I didn't have this, my family would be broke. Sat with a gentleman. First application was $3,800 that deposited in my bank account a couple of days later. It's not like today where it's tomorrow, right? From then on, I was a top producer here in this company. Earn a trip in 2019 with Symmetry. Earn a trip with a couple different carriers, and I saw the light. And I started building my organization and started really driving home that I have to lead, even at my contract level, by the front every day, day in, day out, because what's going to happen if I don't? People are going to fall off. People are going to look at you and say, "Man, Jim, like you can't lead anybody because you don't do any of the correct work." And that's the one driving factor in Symmetry that I do consistently and still do today, is that we all it's wonderful to make a $20,000 a month. It's wonderful to do a $40,000 a month, but can it be consistently done day in and day out, month in, month out, year in and year out? It can be, but again, you also want to build a business behind this. My driving force is obviously my family. It's the ability for me to be free again. And here's the other factor is Symmetry provided me this. I didn't provide myself this. This is a vehicle that I had to use to get to what I want in life. And I think some people here are thinking that you deserve this. And here's the thing is that you have to work your butt off every day to get to that next contract level, to have that vision, to have that drive that you want every day, to know what you have. I lead my whole organization. I'm the #1 producer. Some people might tell you that's terrible, but I will tell you, it shows you every day, every month, every year, that you can lead so many people while still recruiting, while still doing 20 interviews a week, like Casey says, and still bring in amazing people and still mentor them because of what Symmetry has. So Symmetry has a process of growth, of leadership, of summit, of every single piece that you need as a person to develop and grow your business and do it massively. Right? What does it take to do massive work? It takes struggle. It takes heartache, it takes family, and it takes mentorship. Have all of that all into one bundle, and you'll massively grow here at Symmetry. I'll tell you real quick is that, sitting on a trip with the founders of the company changes your life. It changes who you are, and it makes you grateful for what you have here. Because there's no other company that I've ever been a part of, or any other sheriff's department that I've ever been a part of, and they paid for a trip for me. They paid for a trip for my wife, the flight for my wife, and anything that we wanted to do. That's never happened. Again, gratefulness leads into massive growth. You have to sit down and look at yourself in the mirror and say, Jim, am I good at this? Everybody can be good at this, but can I be great at this? Every single person on this call can be great as long as you put the work in and follow the system of what we have here. And I want to bring on a beautiful lady who is an agency owner of mine, and she's an exceptional person, exceptional individual, Karen Reed, and really want to focus in on, what is it for you that on that massive growth and that, building and what you've learned from me or from anybody here makes you who you are.
Okay. Thanks, Jim. Karen Reed, agency owner, direct to Jim Rustman, and feel very blessed to have landed here at Symmetry. I came out of direct sales, 20 years in direct sales. I had built a couple organizations. And so when I stumbled on Symmetry, I immediately knew that I wanted to build. I wanted to build an agency. I wanted to create a legacy for my family. And so when Jim asked me to be on this call, I was thinking about, well, what does leading from the front look like? And I think there's three main factors when you're thinking about being a leader and leading from the front. The very first one is know your why. We all come here for different reasons. Along the way, those reasons can change, but that why is what is going to keep you going. John Maxwell says the why is what keeps you motivated long after that first rush of energy and enthusiasm wears off. It can carry you through when willpower isn't enough. And I know willpower is great, but we don't always have the willpower to do the things we need to do here. And what is it that's going to keep you focused on the reason you're here and what it is you want out of this business? So if you haven't sat down and really figured out your why, I would say you need to do that, because you guys, this is a simple business, but it's not easy. And anybody on this call is going to say, yeah, it's hard sometimes. And so what happens when you have a bad month or a bad week? It happens to everybody. It's just part of it. But what's going to keep you moving forward? If you start focusing on the roadblocks, you're going to get derailed, right? You've got to have something bigger than you, bigger than those roadblocks that you're working for. Focus on that. And that's what's going to keep you moving around those roadblocks. You might have a day or two or a week where you're just feeling kind of maybe a little off. But if you're focusing on your why, that is going to keep you going in the right direction. I've been reading the book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth by John Maxwell. Great book. If you haven't picked this up, I would highly suggest it. But he talks about your why and how important it is to have your why. And I'm going to give you guys a little quiz. So if you have a piece of paper and a pen, I'm going to read you 7 questions. And this is going to help you figure out whether your why is strong enough. Okay. So the first question is, do you constantly procrastinate on important tasks? Okay. Second question, do you require coaxing to do small chores? Third question, do you perform duties just to get by? Question 4, do you constantly talk negatively about your work? Question 5, do efforts of friends to encourage you irritate you? Question 6, do you start small projects and then abandon them? And the last question, do you avoid self-improvement opportunities? So look at that list. How many yeses do you have? Because if you have very many yeses to those questions, you have not tapped into your why strongly enough. It's not deep enough, and you really need to dig deeper. Because when I answered those questions, they were all no, right off the bat. They were no. So kind of a gauge for you when you're thinking about your why. The second point that I would say is you've got to have goals, guys. You know, if you jumped in a car and your kids said, "Where are we going?" and you're like, "I don't know," because you don't have an endpoint in mind, that makes no sense. Same thing here. I loved what Frank Brennis just said, and Jim said it too. You know, when you come here, you have to do the work, and that activity is important. We can't lead if we don't do it ourselves. And so making sure that you're modeling the system that we're telling everybody else to do. I'm not going to ask anybody on my team to do something that I'm not myself doing. So, you know, look at this as your job, guys. It's your job. And if you were punching a clock, you would be getting up every day, you'd be going to work. So prioritize the work here. Make sure that you're treating it as something that you do every day. It's your routine, and hold yourself accountable. You know, make sure that you're teaching the system by your actions. Just like Jim said, when I first came here, I knew I wanted to be an AO, but before that, man, I wanted to beat Jim. Every week, I wanted to beat Jim's sales. And eventually, I was able to do that. That was a small goal, created activity, and it was one piece toward achieving the bigger goal that I had for my future. Also, I would say put timelines on your goals. Once I realized I was building a team and I thought I could probably hit key leader, I set the goal, but I also put a date on it. I wanted to be a key leader by the time the cruise happened in April of 2020, which didn't happen, but I put a time on it, and now it was out there, and I was able to accomplish that. Then I set a goal for becoming an AO, and I was able to accomplish that. So I think goals need to be specific, and you also need to give yourself some timeframes to work them in. And finally, the last key here is making sure that you're working on yourself more than you're working on the business. We hear this all the time, you know, relentless pursuit of personal growth. What are you reading? You know, what are you listening to? Are you listening to the news? Are you listening to podcasts and SoundClouds? What are you putting into your mind? Because what you focus on is what you get. So make sure you're putting things in your mind that are going to move you forward in pursuit of your goals. And buy the books, guys. Every time I hear of somebody recommend a book, I order it immediately on Amazon. And there's been some really great books that have been mentioned. So Jim, that's all I've got for now.
Awesome.
Back to you.
Great. Good stuff there, Karen. You know, next I want to bring up an individual who I have so much heart for, so much love for. He's a young whippersnapper, a guy who you know, was brand new. I mean, didn't know anything. I mean, he'll explain here in a second, but you know, Kyle, let's talk about your journey and your crazy hair, and you know, like what makes you kind of, you know, for you, the growth and again, the massive action that you put in, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jim. And Kyle Muselak, team leader, direct to Wes Engbrecht, and then Jim Rustman. So grateful and thankful to be. So this company is just amazing, changed my life. And the people, all these leaders that I'm lucky enough to be surrounded by, it's just, you can't find this anywhere else, honestly. But a couple things that I really love that you had brought up earlier, Jim and Karen, is leading from the front and, you know, constantly showing your team what you're doing, because why would they follow you if you're not going through the same struggles and carrying that flagpole in front of your team. Just like I come from the military. So whenever I looked at a leader in the military, the first thing I did was, are they in the trenches with me, or are they just telling me and pointing me where to go and what to do? The leaders that I followed the most are the ones that were doing it with me. They were in the trenches. And so I do the same thing with my team. I'll do dial team training and hop on, and I'm calling away, I'm grinding, because we all run through the struggles, and you don't always want to be told that it's fantastic and everything is glorious and, you know, it's super shiny and sunshine and rainbows. You know, it's not all like that. Being successful and, you know, truly hitting your next goal, it takes a lot of struggle and a lot of work. But the thing is when you have mentors that are around you that are leading with you right there. And Jim, I beat you one time my whole time here. And man, that was one of the best days of my life. I was so excited. I called my mom and everything. I was like, I finally beat Jim Rustman. But you know, we all kind of go through that. And I may not be consistent every single time, but the thing is when I need to hit that next roadblock and run through it and just keep going and charge, I'm the first one there going, I will do it. And really, it was because of you guys and because of personal development and everything else that Karen was talking about. A lot of things that hold us back is our own self-talk and put us in these chronic crisis modes where we're sitting there thinking that we're struggling, when in reality, you're really not struggling. All you have to do is just do just a little bit more, just a little bit more, just one more call, just one more appointment, just sit in front of one more person, just write one more piece of business. And I promise you, you'll hit that next goal. And set tangible things. You know, don't come out and go, okay, it's my first week, I'm gonna go do 10, 20,000. That's not tangible. I mean, you got to learn the ropes. You got to hit, you know, as many dials as you can, get in front of as many people as you can. That's what Jim and Alex and Wes and all the great leaders that I've been listening to for 2 years now on these calls, on the SoundClouds. I just constantly did things and put myself in situations to be uncomfortable, because that's the way you grow. You put yourself in struggling situations to get stronger. But there was a couple things that I really wanted to touch on that, Jim. I know I'm kind of running on a tangent here, but so just to give you guys a base of reference, right, that we all struggle, no matter where you are in your path. But leading from the front is super important. So on a call that I did in front of my team, so I did a YouTube video with Cody Askins, and I absolutely loved it. And I received a lot of people asking me for advice from that. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, okay, so I'm not all that. I'm just a regular guy. And these people are asking me for all this advice. It kind of made me feel a little overwhelmed. And some of those people decided to come to my team, and I'm super thankful for that. Because they believe in me enough to want to follow me on the same path. And so I did this dial session in front of all of them, all these new people. And I got straight up told no by 6 people back to back. Like, it is what it is. You know, it was 6 people that answered, and I just zoinked it. It was rough. And I did that in front of all the new people that had just watched how successful I am, right, on this call. But that's part of leading, right, is I'm leading from the front going, hey, you know what, even I get no's, even I get jerks on the phone, right? And I'm showing my team that I'm putting myself in that position. I'm still doing the work. I'm still doing the things you need to do to become successful. And you just got to hit that next roadblock, right? So really what I'm trying to convey here is that don't compare yourself to everyone else. That's what I've always done with Jim. Is I looked at him and I said, man, he's writing 20, 30 grand a month consistently. He's leading from the front constantly. How can I do that while also building a team, while also trying to hang out with my wife, while also trying to have a life with my friends? It just gets overwhelming. And you just got to understand that it's a struggle, and you just take it day by day. You just wake up, do the same thing over and over and over, and don't compare yourself to where Frank Brennis is. Don't compare yourself to where Jim is. Don't compare yourself to Todd Spivey. Don't compare yourself to anybody. Just compare yourself to you and know what your next step is for the next day, and just take it one step at a time. There was a fantastic video that Tyler Harris posted recently, and I had to share it. And it was that guy that's walking up the stairs and falls off and comes back up. He falls down a little bit and then moves up 2 more steps, falls off and comes back up until eventually he gets to the top, falls off and comes back to the top. You got to think about that, right? It's a struggle, but it's worth it every single day if you just keep pushing and doing the right things. Thanks, Jim, for having me on. Love you, brother.
Yep, 100%, man. Appreciate the service. Appreciate what you bring to our team, and you know, the environment you surround yourself with, man, is truly tremendous. You know, this next individual, I'd like to say she's kind of like a second mom to me. She came here and, you know, was just an amazing person. Her husband's amazing. Her family's amazing. Michelle, let's talk about, you know, those, you know, struggles, and let's talk about those great, you know, things that have happened with you at Symmetry. You're muted.
And there we
There you
go. It's your mom. So thank you, Jim, for having me on. I am direct to Karen and Jim. It's so fitting that I would keep myself muted there at that point. And, you know, Jim asked me to be on this call this afternoon for us East Coast people. And I reflected on what he was asking, why leading from the front will continue massive growth. And it reminded me of something, and I love that Frank, you know, shared. He's being a Catholic, my morning meditation from Matthew Kelly. Life is not about doing and having. Life is about becoming. Here at Symmetry, we grow by serving those in humility, and therefore we become the best version of ourselves. So I love it because being here, we can dream big, yet stay small. And what Kyle just said, oh my gosh, through the struggles that we work through, so many trials, it's not about the perfection, which I was always taught you have to be perfect. It's about getting through those trials. That's what we learn. And Kyle taught me how to do switchboards, so I'm so thankful for him. Why do we see this massive growth here at Symmetry? Our founders recognize the organic need to keep growing in the many virtues we already have in us. At conference, I loved hearing Jamie Susie and Sarah Reinecke, at the time an agency owner and a director. And then Jim shared with me a tape of their new agent call. They spoke about how we are here to serve others. And the only way we can do that is by having a steady lead order, because we need humans to talk to. This got me to think about my own humanity. We only genuinely improve as humans when we grow in virtues. And one of those, again, is that humility, the humbleness that Frank spoke of. The obsession with doing and having old corporate America, where I came from, led many of us to Symmetry. Our founders have developed a system that is constantly being tested, and we now have the numbers to prove it. It works. This system works. Investing and growing in ourselves by reading books, attending conferences, growing in relationships with others makes us have this massive growth in our personal, business, and financial lives. You know, as Jim said, I'm Michelle Flanagan. I'm a young leader, as he's the old one here. And the person who called me to work here is Karen. She is an amazing, faithful woman who loves God, family, and Symmetry, always leading from the top and helping her clients and all of us on her team, as well as our cousins in the Weigel Rustman teams. She leads me by her example, and as she does for me, I am now able to do for my team. Karen and I strive to meet our agents where they are and then lead them to God, where God calls them to be. We do pray for our clients, and we always say, God, to bring us those who need our help. One thing, though, I had to learn in this process is that you can still remain humble while setting big goals. Big is not bad. After reading The One Thing by Gary Keller, and I have the book here like Karen had, Karen recommended for me to read it as well. In this book, The One Thing, Gary talks about how certain lies we are brought up with can derail us. He states, how many ships did not sail because the belief that the earth was flat? How much progress was impeded because man wasn't supposed to breathe underwater, fly through the air, or venture into outer space? Historically, we've done a remarkably poor job of estimating our limits. The good news is that science isn't about guessing, but the art of progressing. And so is our life. We clearly see that here at Symmetry. We have a tested system in place that is improving and progressing continually. In our first few talks, Karen shared with me how she's being led by Jim, not managed by Melissa. She spoke of her goal to get to their career levels and higher. I was kind of shocked and humbled, yet driven by this faithful woman. To quote from The One Thing again, when you allow yourself to accept that big is who you can become, you look at it differently. Hearing Karen talk about higher levels of leadership threatened my comfort zone and to be humble, and simultaneously allowed me to reflect on the amazing opportunities for my life here. Believing in big frees you to ask different questions and follow different paths. Ed Milet, who is a global keynote speaker, stated that our mind is a weapon. We can become what we believe. Like Ed, Karen, and Jim, they have each told me to have a vision board with defined dates and on each picture. I keep mine in front of me, and that leads me and reminds me of my timeline. With this board and my vision, it becomes familiar to my brain and allows these thoughts to be repetitive. After passing my life and health exam, I sat in my car and I told myself I'm back. I was a very eager, successful person, got my MBA, then got married, and was basically a military wife of 19 years doing part-time work. So at that point, I was, went back full time, loved being a wife, mom, church volunteer, had a good earning, but I felt like I could do so much more, especially now with my new license. I called Karen, thanked her for her confidence she poured in me and how excited I was to start my life as a Symmetry agent. With a couple of weeks following the system, attending Jim and Alex's calls with Karen, game planning, making hundreds of dials, lots of notes, I began meeting with clients, always calling Karen when I got stuck. And she helped me pivot. And as Cicely Newsom coined the phrase, I was enjoying the work-life blend I was creating. I trust the system enough to call Karen, and then she wasn't available. So when I was on an appointment, she said, why didn't you reach out to Jim, Melissa, Alex? And I said, well, they're busy, it was late. And that was the first time Karen was mad at me. Not about making the sale, but that now that family was not protected. It sunk into me how important this vocation is to so many families. The next time I was stuck and Karen wasn't available, I called Jim. I apologized to him. I said, I'm so sorry, I'm calling so late. And he said, why be sorry? That's why I'm here. Again, as big as scary as Jim is, he's so humble. We got to cover the client, and the family took that side that I always love after every one of my appointments, but they were at peace, and we gave them that protection. Having a team that I trust is growing me as a person. I talk about Karen, as well as Jim, Alex, and Melissa to my family, and they can see these positive changes in my perspective. I have reached out to Melissa about what her book choices were, and she shared her favorite book is The Morning Miracle, as well as Sarah Pappas's and so many of our other amazing women leaders here. This book did give me a deeper perspective of how to meditate and allow for better results throughout the day. Jim has shared with me some very personal things that's happened in his family, and now I can go to trust him as it's happened in my family as well. Every one on my team I share my story with because I can trust them. I'm grateful to all of you, my Symmetry family, and as Alex Jackson has taught me, that our biggest achievement here on our agency's anthem cry is to go help a family.
Perfect. Crushed it. Awesome. Thanks, Michelle. Next individual I want to bring up, and he's my best friend, best guy in this business. We live 6 minutes from each other. He is his wife is my wife's best friend. Basically almost from day one we've been in the business together. I want to give a shout out, Alex Jackson. He'll warm himself up, but I'll tell you, tremendous leader, tremendous trainer. And he knows my gym isms.
Jim, we're going to write a book with all your Jimisms eventually and make a whole lot of money. Jim, thank you for the introduction. Thank you everyone for having us on. Alex Jackson, agency owner. Been here for about 6 months less than Jim, because I was hard-headed and didn't listen in the beginning. So don't be hard-headed and listen to the person who has brought you into this business, is my first word of advice. I first want to recap real quickly for anyone that wanted to take notes and maybe forgot to, and also for everyone that was asking some questions in the chat earlier. First and foremost, I want to remind everyone of what Jim just said 35 minutes ago. And the key thing you need to take away from what Jim said is, quote, "You can be great." If you write nothing else down out of anything else that anyone else has said, just know that you can be great regardless of how new or not new you are here in this business. Karen talked about the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth by John Maxwell, the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, and the testing that is in that book to find out what they call your why. I want to challenge each of you to not only find out what your why is, but really you need to look and find out what your why not is, and ask yourself, why not? Define your why, but more importantly, I think you need to find and define your why not, and what a mentor of mine calls your because goals. I believe you need to find your because goals, because once you define what your why not is, and you define why you'll never go back to something in the past, your because goals, I refuse to go back to being X. I refuse to put my family in this situation that I used to be in the past. I refuse, like Ryan Miller, to not be able to not be with my family when someone passes away, like the Miller family. I refuse to not have this happen in the future for my family. I refuse to fill in the blank and figure out what your because goals are. I will make this happen because I refuse to let something happen in my future for my family that did happen in my past. What do you refuse to go back to? Why are you here? Kyle said, you have to, he didn't say this, but I noticed it. I don't know if any of you else noticed, but Miranda was sitting just to the side of him. He looked over to her twice to get reassurance of what he was saying was good and needed to be heard by the rest of us. So from that, I wrote down, we need to have our families beside us, and you need to have a running buddy within your family itself to encourage you along the way, because you're going to hit struggles like Kyle talked about. Kyle's biggest word of advice that I wrote down was, be the best you. Do not, I'll say it again, do not compare yourself to what others are or are not doing. Be the best version of you. Be the best version of you. And leaders, to all of us as leaders, which all of you are, by the way, regardless of how new you are here, you need to get back into the trenches. Get into the trenches and show those agents that you have why you're the best leader for them. You know, we talk about social media a lot, and I think the person I see getting back into the trenches, though she doesn't need to or have to, but I tell you what, Miranda Martin posting on social media, the fact that she's helping families with Switchboard and with Razor Ridge leads and all the stuff that she's committed to herself to get back into the trenches, that's what a leader in the trenches looks like. Leaders get back into the trenches. Agents, don't be afraid to ask the leader that you have, to ask the mentor that you have, the upline that you have, to get back into the trenches with you. I don't need to recap anything Michelle said. Everything she said was phenomenal. And I'm going to, for sake of time, I want to get into what I wanted to talk about real quick, Jim. Another mentor of mine that Kyle mentioned earlier said in a recent event that we were at, life and business that we are all in is kind of like a video game. So in the chat, if you guys want to throw it in there, how many of you remember Mario Kart? Right? In Mario Kart, things often happen, and just like they do in life. As you quote, drive through the journey of life, leadership, and business, we often and sometimes will hit different hurdles or banana peels or bombs and things of that nature in life and in business and in leadership. But it's not about how and what happens to us. It's about how we deal with those obstacles in this game of life, leadership, and business, you guys. It's how we take the opportunities that are in front of us and take the hurdles that are in front of us and learn and grow from them. And the really awesome part about this business and about this organization of Symmetry Financial Group and Quility is that we all have the ability to find another character, another powerhouse in this game of life and business and insurance, and lock arms with that character or that player to help us run through those journeys, to run through this journey, to help us overcome those obstacles, to help us with mentorship and coaching, and figure out the next thing that we need to do to get to the next level, to help us, to the topic of this conversation with Jim today, to help us through into the massive growth and help us make sure that we're each growing and leading from the front in the best way that we're able to. I want to pivot a little bit away from the video game here and talk about what's in my hand here. I'll kind of get it close to the camera. But one of our mentors in this business often talks about how life and business is so much like the agricultural world. And for those of you that don't know what that is, that's an acorn. Okay. Each of you are just like this acorn. Each of you are just like this acorn. And with the work and the mentorship and the development and everything that we have at this company, each of you have the ability to grow into something strong and massive, just like the tree that an acorn falls from. But you can't grow strong and massive without the struggles that Kyle talked about and that were talked about earlier, like Jim and Karen and everyone else that spoke of today, like Frank Brennes talked about on the previous call for the builders call. With those hurdles and struggles, I cut this down recently, if you can see this. If you look at a ring on a tree, the rings on a tree, this one's 26 years old. If you look at the rings on a tree, you'll notice that some of them are closer together than others. Some of them are farther apart. As the tree grows out, there's 26 rings on this side, just like there is on this side. But the ones on this side are further apart from each other as the ones on here are closer. That's because at some point when this tree was sitting upright, it was blowing further to one side more often than not than it was the other side. And that's because the struggle that happens in this business and in life is what helps your roots grow deep. If trees and us as business owners and individuals within life don't go through struggles, the roots don't grow very deep. So know that the struggles are going to happen and the roots are going to grow deeper. And the deeper your roots grow, the better you become and the more you're able to handle the winds of change and the hardships of life, business, and insurance. I encourage all of you to grow your roots deep through this amazing system that we have at Symmetry and Quility and grow into something massive and serve the families that you get to help. Back to you, Jim.
Heck yeah, man. That's great. Great stuff. I'm going to close it up here and really want to close it up in a fashion that I think is super, super cool, is that every individual on this call started with that one saying of I'm going to do it. That one big hit of I know I can do this. I want to be great, and I know I can be a leader. Every person on this call who's still here will always tell you, every leader in this company will always tell you positivity, communication, and your drive and willingness to work hard, you will strive a dream that you've never had before. And that dream can be whatever it is. It could be you getting a house for your first time. It could be you maybe having the ability, like Ian Graham, to have children. It could be maybe the ability for you to help your parents in a struggle, in debt. It could be whatever that dream could possibly be. Symmetry is the place to be at, because that dream will always come true as long as you follow the system and as long as you work hard enough to do it. I will tell you that, because my dream has come true with Symmetry, and it's growing every day, leaps and bounds. Not only because we were able to have more children, but the ability for me to be home with my children, and the ability for me to not have to work 16-hour shifts, the ability for me to go out and help people every day because they want help, because that's what Symmetry gives you, right? Think about that. All of these leaders on this call will always tell you the same thing. And Symmetry, and then the founders of the company, especially Casey, man. I met Casey 2017. He gave me his number at the UHL office in Indianapolis, and that changed my whole entire life with this company. Because I got a friend from somebody who didn't need to give me something. Think about that. It's tremendous. Back to you guys.
Man.
So good. Appreciate the perspective on how important ongoing transformation is in your life, because all of you shared stories of how you've been personally transformed, and that leads to certain convictions, which leads to certain results in your business. And that's the lifeblood of the business. Transformation leads to impact. And so great to hear how you've all been impacted, and how many hundreds and thousands of people will continue to be inspired and impacted by what you shared today. So really appreciate it, guys.
Massive gratitude, Karen, Kyle, Michelle, and Alex, and Jim, and your entire organization, and just so grateful, and just really cool to see the chat blowing up and being so responsive to such tremendous content. So tremendous gratitude. Appreciate you all so much, and we can't wait to see everybody again next week. And take care and go lift somebody up.
Have a great week.